was recently accused of being bad with money because of one purchase. And as someone who's on track to retire in their 40s and has amassed over $200,000 in net worth without a six-figure salary, I couldn't help but reflect on the question of what does it really mean to be good with money? Society will vaguely chalk it up to someone who is spending as little as possible or someone who is making as much as possible. But I want to challenge that. Being good with money is simply being able to reach your financial goals. And up to a certain point, you can actually determine what those goals are. But there's a set of goals that everyone should be on track to reach. We'll refer to them as essential goals, and I'm going to argue that if you're on track to reach them, you're going to turn into someone who is good with money. We'll think about these 5 essential goals hierarchically. So at the bottom, at our foundation, we're going to be looking at our money and cash flow. So starting with our income, do we have enough money for necessities such as housing, transportation, bills, and food? And secondly, do we have discretionary income? In other words, do we have money left over after our necessities are taken care of? And then secondly, we want to look at a safety net. So do we have an emergency fund in place? Typically, emergency funds will be about 3 to 6 months of expenses, but it could be more depending on your situation. And secondly, do we have the proper insurances in place? So if you have dependents, that's going to look like term life insurance and, things like house insurance, renter's insurance, car insurance, and even health insurance. So you want to really set yourself up with a safety net in case something goes wrong. You want to be taken care of. And the third thing is having a debt payoff plan. So if you have debt, do you have a way of strategically bringing that balance down to 0? And are you paying them down according to that plan? Some plans to look into, by the way, are Avalanche and Debt Snowball. The fourth thing we'll look at is our future selves and specifically retirement. So are you on track to retire, ideally on your timeline? That's going to involve A, knowing how much you need to retire, and B, understanding what it's going to cost you to retire every month. And lastly, we have an estate plan. So if there's anyone in your life that's going to inherit any of your assets, you definitely want to have a plan in place. And working with an estate attorney would be a good use of money in this case. So setting up a plan to reach these essential goals is really only half of the equation, but I like starting here because it's objectively good for you. Because if you take all of this away, there's a presence of pain and an absence of peace. The other half of this equation is subjectively good, and it involves spending your money on literally everything else. And these purchases shouldn't really be subject to anybody's judgment aside from your own. So whether that's spending your money on daily coffees, a bigger house, a nice car, nice accessories, designer clothes, designer bags, even longer term items like maybe your parents' retirement, your kids' tuition. These are not necessarily essential, but they're more like in the category of wants and are worthy of making some goals around. We each have highly individualized wants, and as long as you have your foundation set up with those essential goals, whatever you spend your money on outside of that literally doesn't matter. And ideally, you'll want to spend your money on things that make you happy, that don't make you feel guilty, and that are really intentionally purchased to make your life more exciting. I will say here that ordering does matter. So you are going to want to first address your essential goals and then your everything else goals afterwards. Because if you're spending your money on your wants before your needs, well, it's not good for you. If you're married with kids, it's not good for your family. It's just not a good situation that you want to be in. I hope that I helped you see that what you spend your money on specifically isn't going to make you good or bad with money, but the absence of a plan definitely will make you bad with money. So if you want to be good with money, you're going to want to come up with a plan that covers your essential goals and your everything else goals. You can sign up to my newsletter for free and I'll gift to you a checklist that will help you out with that. All you have to do is sign up with the link in the description and just look out for an email from me in your inbox with the link to this document. And if you're into designer bags, you're gonna love this video here.